Hi everyone, it's Justin with Voices for Voices. We're so grateful to have you with us, whether you're watching, whether you're listening, whether you're here in the United States or some other country, territory, province outside of the United States. We welcome one and all to episode number 480 of our Voices for Voices TV show and podcast portfolio. So we have a lot of shows, and we invite you to check some of those other shows out. I promise you, they will be interesting. They will be, um, some will make you laugh, might make you cry. We cover everything, cover easy topics, hard topics. If you can give us a big thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share, reach out to 25, 50, 75, your contacts in your phone. Let them know about the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast built on the foundation and the pillars of mental health, trauma, recovery, and just people living everyday life. And that's what we talk about. And we know life isn't always easy, so we do talk about the hard topics that do arise from time to time. So thank you very much for joining us. And yes, that is a dog on my shoulders. This is our family pet. If you've been with us for the past few episodes, you know our family dog Lucy. Uh, we've never had an inside dog before, or an outside dog for that matter. Growing up, we did for a brief period that I remember, but most of it I don't because I was so young. Uh, but I didn't know that that the dogs like to rest on necks and shoulders. And I think because she's so short, she just wants to, it's that whole, if you have the higher, the person with the higher position is able to see more than the person with the lower position. So that's just a general comment that it is the case. And so I just wanted to share that at the outset because you might see her moving around. You might see her, uh, like you see a paw right here. So it's cool. She's fun. It's it's a neat experience to have for our family. It's 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 great. Expectations. I kind of throw in the bucket a little bit with judging. We've talked about judging so many times, not from like a court perspective, but just, oh, did you see that person? Did you see what they're wearing? Do you see those shoes? Do you see that outfit? Do you see that car they're driving? Uh, yeah, that's the judging part. The expectations. A lot of times, the outside world doesn't really know what the expectations of an individual are, right? We can look at the obvious of a sporting event. We want to win as many games, matches, uh, as possible. So expectations, not to lose any games, matches. Uh, and so that's kind of pretty pretty cut and dry, straightforward. But when we talk about topics that affect more than just a small percentage of the world population that plays professional sports, even the growing up, as a playing t-ball, playing playing a game. We want to win. That's that's kind of the thought process there in a very high level sense of the meaning. And so we look at that and say, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Well, what about in regular everyday life when we're just living, we're just waking up, getting ready for school, getting ready for work, looking for work. And so the expectation there is to find something, to find a job, to find something that makes us happy, not only on the outside, on the periphery of, okay, this title, this amount of money is the salary, this many vacation days. But looking on the inside, looking on the mental health side of, is this going to be a healthy experience for me? And I know we have to, a lot of people say, well, Justin, you just have to negotiate. You just have to negotiate. Yes, we do have to, excuse me, we do have to negotiate. But as a person that's spent 15 plus years in in kind of the corporate world, uh, I can't I can't help but think that some of the stress of not only deadlines because of saying, okay, well, I have 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a couple days to work on this project, right? It's usually never like that, at least in my experience. Maybe your job's different, and 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 that's what makes us all unique. But the jobs I've had, and this is why I think I know that Voices for Voices is for me because the work that I have done over the years, sometimes there's a deadline of you have a couple days to work on it, and maybe it's the first time. Like, let's just say there's a part of a company that's growing, and so you're hired into that company, into the area that's growing. And so they want you to help grow that part of the company that's new. And so growth is obviously an expectation, but like on a day-to-day basis, and maybe this is just me in my mind, I like to know what I need to do. I need a little structure. Actually, I need a lot of structure. If I'm going to be brought in to work on said project or department, I need to know not just what the end goal is, because a lot of times that's easy. Grow sales. We want more money. We want more profit for the company. But the day to day of, okay, so what does that look like? And I'm not trying to be I don't know, a a negative person. And I'm not sorry to say this. I have been over the years, but I'm not anymore. When a person is hired into a job, they need direction. I don't give a shit if it's a low level internship or the president and CEO. There needs to be some fucking training, some real training, not the, oh, well, work on this the next, month, or there needs to be some real training at the beginning because otherwise we can get lost in the monotony and go, all right, so I have this thing I have to do in 2 weeks, in a month. Nobody's shown me. 9 times out of 10 for me, my computer never had the programs that it needed to do the job that I was hired in to do. In fact, I had one job where my computer was in another country for over a week. They knew I was hired, they knew my start date. There was plenty of time, and I sat for a week and a half at least. It might have even been 2 weeks, but it was a good solid amount of time that I didn't have a computer. I was living in a city. I was brought in to do specific work, and I didn't have a computer day one, day two, day three, right? So I'm brought in and nothing's ready. Nothing's set. The computer's not ready. I, I'm sitting there like, all right, like, what do I do? Right? Try to look busy is, often like, well, look like you're working, look busy. Well, if the work that needs to be done is on the computer, then I need the computer. Then when the computer came, it didn't come with the programs, the software, the hardware. It didn't come ready, right? You would think if you had a month that you knew since I was moving a good portion away, a lot of miles, that the company would have that already set up. And I mean, I had a place to sit, but what am I going to do for 8, 9 hours a day? I don't have a computer. I get brought into meetings and I'm expected to know answers just right off the top of my head. I need a computer for that. I need a computer to help aid me, and I didn't have it. So that's when I said earlier, there needs to be training. There was no training then either. Like, what format do you want to see the final product? Do you want it in Microsoft Excel? Do you want it in PowerPoint? Do you want it in Tableau? SAP, whatever the program. No idea. And so I use my best judgment, and then it's like, well, that's not what we do here. We show it in PowerPoint or whatever. And that could have been part of onboarding that they call it, new employee being brought in, training, none. And if there was training, it's the kind of training where it's like, okay, here's what the company does. Well, that's great. I'm gonna need to know what the company does, what products it sells, who it sells to, businesses or consumers like you and I. And I know this is gonna rub some people the wrong way, but this is just life. This is my experience, and I'm hoping you've had different experiences, and a lot of people have, and bravo for that. I'm happy. But some of the stress and some of the anxiety that I have built up and had built up over the years undoubtedly came from work. I needed structure. I didn't have structure, forget about it. And you might say, well, Justin, the company can't just spend all the time just, babying you around, is a term I've heard. Like they're going to spoon feed you. No, we're not going to spoon feed you. Well, when I talk about that in the interview process of what I need to be, what would you call success for you? how how and what would do you need for your success and to help our company? And when I share that information and it's not adhered to and you still hire me, I think that it's because of all the things in the interview and interviews, because usually there's multiple interviews. And to hire somebody and to not do that is not right. So then I have extra stress because I'm like, all right, I'm already going back to the no computer for at least a week, week and a half. Uh, Once I get the computer, I'm running like I'm already, a week and a half at least behind on where I should be. So I'm trying to play a game of catch up. Not like ketchup they put on food, French fries or other food. Like catching up. Like I'm behind. I'm running a race and I'm a mile behind the person in front of me. And that person in front of me is another person that was hired and they have a computer and they're able to start working and they're getting accolades and I'm sitting there and to other people that don't know, they just see me, they're like, "What? Why is he just sitting there? Where's his computer at?" Oh, sure, it's in Argentina because that was where company's based out of. So that was where, computers and such, where it was coming from. And so it was like I would come in and it would be almost like I'd be looking at my phone looking at like a delivery date, right? You send a package or somebody sends you a package and they say, okay, here's the tracking numbers or letters or both. And so shame on you, business owner, managers, directors, anybody who HR, human resources, uh, it's on you. And then to sit there, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example of how something can be added stress. Okay. So right, if marriage is right for you and having children, this is this is where the experience that I'm going to be sharing. Okay. So there's policies, right? Of here's the expected dress, business casual, business professional. And so there's all these, this, they call it the employee handbook. And things change from time to time. And one of the things that changed, and it wouldn't have affected me if I wasn't, me and my wife, if we weren't expecting our child, our first child, or a child in general, or if we were adopting. So right around the time that our child was born, there was a modification in the employee handbook, and it was about how men could have a certain amount of, I believe it's a certain amount of leave. And so usually sometimes it's paid, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's partial. Well, I wasn't, because because the policy happened after we had our child. Shortly after, I wasn't able to use that policy. Give you another one. Companies talking about mental health, right? Oh yeah, we we believe in, the mental health of our employees. Same company. And I've been going to counseling therapy, the whole shebang for years. Okay. So the company's like, yep, we support employees. I shared the with HR because there was another policy that said that the company would pay for 3 visits to if you need therapy after some traumatic event, or if you feel that that's what you need, right? So if you're a company, if as I own Voices for Voices, if I say, oh, well, we're going to cover, this is hypothetical because we we don't really have employees. You're really looking at the employee. Uh, we have obviously David and Amanda and family with mythical creatures around the world. But we don't have, employees that, clock in at a certain time and clock out at a certain time. And so this is hypothetical as we talk about this. So let's say I bring in a new employee. Everybody's got stuff going on in their lives, right? That whole saying, everybody, you don't know what's going on in somebody's life, basically. And we don't. And so let's say that I don't have a policy that talks about, just like insurance is basically what it is. And part of that insurance is this specific thing. And so this specific thing, let's say I add to my employee handbook for the organization and say, we'll give you 3 free visits to a counselor, right? We're like I mentioned at the beginning, where our foundation, our pillars at the core is mental health. And so it would be not a good move for an organization that at the core is mental health, that there's no policy, um, no way for individuals if they need to see and talk to somebody. And not that we need to know all the things that are in that conversation. We don't. We should just offer it, and whether the person's been going to therapy for 7 years or has never seen a therapist in their life, we should honor that policy. And so, and this is where things kind of went started to go downhill. And I believe wholeheartedly that the cost, because I had the regular, company insurance, and I was going for visits to my therapist. And and so I went to human resources, right? They're dealing with humans and the resources, insurance, benefits, if there's retirement, all those things, vacation days, if there's issues with people on your team, they help you work through it. And so they do a whole host of things. And they, for the most part, do a great job. But I'm giving you my experience of what I would have expected from if I in the hypothetical that I gave. That if I change the policy and somebody's reaches out, it shouldn't matter if they've been going again. Shouldn't matter if they've been going to therapy for 20 years or never been to a therapist, but they feel like it might be helpful to go and it would be covered at 100% for those three visits, right? Therapy, all this stuff, medications if you need that, it's not free. You have to pay, even with insurance. So at said company, I went and talked to human resources because I saw the change in policy and about the three visits, about the company will cover 100% for three visits. Well, there was an employee that started their three visits. And I don't know what again, I was just I was a colleague on a professional level with this employee, so I didn't have any idea why they were going or anything like that. I just I just heard that they were utilizing that new part of the policy. So I went to human resources on my own, right? They tell you, you know, if you see something, say something. You know, we're the people that will help you through navigate through situations. And so when I went up and I talked with human resources and asked them and said, look, I saw this change in policy. Thank you for doing this. I've been going to therapy for quite a while. Am I able to use those three visits with my current therapist covered at 100%? You know what I got told? No. No, this is for, you know, brand new. Um, and, you know, people that, you know, well, so and so and so and so. They didn't give name. They just said, you know, oh, you know, people, you know, everybody's going through stuff, and you know, they're like, oh, no, that's great that you're going to therapy and you're doing that, but you know, sorry, like, no, that's not covered. You know, you've been seeing a therapist, so no, those three visits that doesn't work. Now, if you want to start over with a new therapist who you don't, you know, that's again, and then it's this very tiny network where they got like, you know, one or two. And as anybody's been to therapy or a doctor or anything, we're all unique, right? Some people we get along with more than others. And I know from experience, I think we all know. And it doesn't have to be on the therapy level, just any level. We're all human beings, we're all unique. And so the fact that I basically got turned down, you'd have thought that the company would said, "Oh yeah, we'll cover that." So as soon as I said that, my work experience, not just the years, I'm talking the experience that I started feeling at work started to change. Now, my manager and boss's boss, I'm getting treated like differently because when you're part of finance and marketing, if you have anything to do with numbers, you've sat in a meeting at least once with a bunch of numbers on a spreadsheet and five, six, seven, 10 people or maybe more are in that room and they're looking at the budget. They're looking at the budget. Capitalism's great, right? Well, they're looking at the budget and they're seeing what is high, what is low, how to adjust. And so when they see numbers that are high, the people in leadership go, well, why are those so high? I don't know. Let's take a look. Let's double click into that cell. Oh, it's in this department. And so this was in the benefits. This was the benefits, right? They're getting ready to negotiate whatever for the next year and then they're looking at what would have been would have been the what are the numbers for this year? And so that's what happened. I was in the meeting. So people say, "Oh yeah, you're full of it." I was in the meetings and I saw it with my own eyes, heard it with my own ears, and so I kept getting drilled down and down and down and down. They'll say, "Oh, it's this department that has higher than expected medical bills or medical coverage." And it was shortly after that that I was let go by that organization. People can say what they want. Everybody's got an opinion. I know that. Everybody's got an opinion. People close to me, people not close to me. It is what it is, right? That whole term. It is what it is. Well, I don't think it was that. It couldn't have been. Because that would have been unethical, right? You're basically letting somebody go because they're medical. They're utilizing the medical benefits, the very benefits you're now saying you're going to cover 3 visits, but yet it's only with these conditions. That's that that's not caring about mental health. That's throwing an add-on, a supplement for very specific cases. And whether you know it or not, the how do I say this the right way? The amount of people that are going to step forward when they see that change in policy are going to be very low because, right, it's mental, it's in our head, right? That person's mental, they're mentally unstable. We have to commit them. Been there, done that, been treated that way. All for talking about real life. All for talking about real life. And so, for any company that's out there watching, any leaders, we're so happy to have you join us. But if you're gonna say you care about mental health, then you better damn well have policies in place and coverages in place that you're gonna cover if it is like this experience I had where we're gonna cover 3 visits at 100%, then you shouldn't give a fuck if the person has been seen a counselor, a psychiatrist for 20 years or never at all. Or just don't even have the policy. That's the way I look at it. Because the amount of people, again, the amount of people that want to, talk about mental health, they'll say, "Oh, I support it. I support it." But once you start talking about like yours, and I'm talking about mine, people are like, "Oh, I'm not like that. I don't have those issues. I don't have those problems." Okay, no problem. I do. And I talk about them and I share about them. And I'm happy to share. I'm happy to talk about. Because you know what? I know there's one person, at least one person out there that is going to relate to what not only this episode, but all the other 479 episodes that we have. And we're a charity. And I put my blood, sweat, and tears, put my own money, hundreds of thousands. So I believe in this. So don't give me this bullshit policy that, well, it only covers this, and that's great. That's great that you're recognizing that. Okay, enough of the lip service. Back it up. There's a term called big hat, no cattle. Just like big talk, no backing it up. And there's a lot of people who need some help. And so they should be able to just go get the help. And if it's the 3 visits or if it's a different type of a mental health related, to include that at a more reasonable rate for people with your company insurance, whatever it is, just do it. Be a leader. If you're calling yourself a CEO, an owner of a company, and you have employees and you're paying, you have benefits for them, either do it or don't do it. Don't go in between. Don't have this bullshit where it's like I said, well, this only covers, you know, this specific type of visit. Because everybody's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, good for you." Oh, well. and 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 you know what? That makes people with mental illnesses like myself feel even worse when we get that pity talk and that pity clap, whatever. It's like, "Oh, good for you that you went and did this." Well, don't treat me like a fucking baby. Treat me like a human being. Treat me like if you have children and they want help and they've been getting help, treat your employees like that. And so, yeah, this has been a tough episode to kind of get through. Uh, but the only reason why I go this deep is because it's true. And because if I hadn't been going to therapy, I wouldn't have stepped forward. Heck no. I would have been like, I don't got any problems. It's like, so to wrap this up, work does create stress. And the positions, I talked about the computer and the week and a half. Okay. Let's say I have everything I need from a computer and software and all that. And you go in every day to work, right? And let's say let's say you do have structure at first, and then the next thing you know, depending on how the office layout is, they have cubicles. Let's just say your boss, your manager is right next to you. So, right, you got some structure, you're working on things, you kind of have an idea in your mind how you'd like, to go after different things. Like for, I'll get to this in a second. And so your boss is next to you, and so you got this somewhat of structure, working on things. And then every day you go in, your boss is waiting, and then you hear the knock on the side of the cubicle, or you hear Justin, or Hayes, Hayes, Justin, however you're addressed name wise. Hey, can you look at this and this and this? I got a meeting in 30 minutes. Can you just grab that real quick? So all of a sudden, my structure is moved. Okay, no big deal. That's one time. But what happens day after 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 day, then for me, my mind is like, shit, what am I going to work on today? I know it, the regular stuff and that structure, but I know I'm going to come into they call them fire drills because we need to do this now. It's an emergency. I need to know this number. I need to know this customer. I need to know this type of product, what brand it is, whatever that is. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, over the course of hours, days, months, and years, company to company to company to company, you have that. You have that. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing today, and I know I'm gonna be limited, but the calendar of my boss is not shared with me. So I don't even know that they have a meeting coming up, and they knew that there was something that they were going to need to ask me to do that they could have asked me the day before or a couple days before. And that's bad management. I get it. Things come up from time to time. It shouldn't be every single day, all parts of the day. And then you're working on something, and then it's like, oh, well, while you're doing that, can you do that? Just do this because you're already going to be doing this. So just do that as well. Then it's like, oh my gosh. Then it's you get into work and your boss isn't there and you're like, oh my gosh, I can start working, my structure. But then you open your email and you have three messages from your boss asking you to work on three different projects, and they have a meeting at a certain time and they need it by that time. Nope, they need it earlier than that. And so that caused me so many times to skip lunches because it's like I gotta do all these things on top of my regular duties. And this is when I know somewhat of a structure. And so it creates additional stress, additional anxiety. And so again, either the company supports the mental health or they don't. That's what it comes down to, everyone. If you're gonna have a company and you're gonna have an employees, there's different ways. It could be the contractor type, or they're paid per project, or they can be full time and have benefits, and it's taken out of their, hourly rate or wage or salary. So that's one way to look at things. Then there's other kinds of work where it's a little more straightforward, where let's say you're looking at building a structure in a certain city, in a certain part of the city. You either go and see it, somebody locally with your organization, your company goes and, FaceTimes it and videos it. And the goal is to finish the structure to the specifications of who's building it. And so I know things can change also there towards the end, where the main part of the structure, 80, 90%, is as is. And there might be tweaks here and there. But that would be something that would be more for me, because I don't think I've ever reached the 80, 90% of my work having structure and then being able to replicate that for an additional structure in a different city, state, country, province. And so I want to end the show in applauding, not the fake, the clapping, that bullshit. Take care of your mental health. Take care of your physical health. I need to do a better job taking care of my physical health, but I'm doing what I think is good. It's it's serving me better. Let's put it this way. It's serving me better than if I didn't. So I'll say it like that. And you know what? Even if you don't think you have a mental illness or anything like that, I'm not like Justin. He, he's super mental. Even if you don't think you are, people gossip, right? Why not go to a therapist and just let it out? What's been happening in the last week, the last month, whatever the cadence. So how often you see. And that right there, I remember when I first started my therapy and I was coming out of the deepest valley of my life, but also the best part of my life, because I was starting to be a real person, a real human, not one that was, doing the binge drinking and just not being the best human that I could be. So take care of yourself. It's to your benefit, and that's really what matters. If we can't take care of our own self, how can we take care of others? And I'm not the best at it. I'm not the greatest. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. All I know is I'm better now than I would be if I wasn't seeing a psychiatrist, seeing a therapist. If you need medication, okay. I didn't want to take it. I was fighting that hard inside my mind. Like, Justin, you don't want to take that because then you're not going to be able to drink alcohol because, it's going to interact with your medications. And I just say to you, at that point, what's more important to you? Life, living life, maybe longevity, or I want to, I want to drink alcohol. I want to do drugs. I want to do, I mean, those are their choices. And we all get to make a lot of those ourselves. Some are made for us. Like I'm like 5'8", 5'9". Like I'm not gonna miraculously grow to be 6'6" or 6'8" and play American basketball. I mean, I'd love for that, but I don't have control over that. I can't impact whether I'm 5'8" or 6'8". Yeah. So thank you for joining us. It was a deep episode. Thanks for being with us. If you can, give us the big thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share, all free, all free, all free. Doesn't cost a thing to do those. Follow our socials. We're everywhere. And reach out to 25 contacts in your phone. Let them know about the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. And until next time, let's celebrate the voices of everyone in the world. And within that, let's be a voice for ourselves and maybe somebody else that may need their voice to be shared, but may not be able to do that. And so maybe you can help do that. So we'll see you next episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. Thank you so much for your love and support. And we're going to be hitting episode 500 so soon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.